This is Rose and Sword by Terry Bale. That's me. And so I'm going to read it to you, but it's only a page. I don't have much time right now. I have to get back home and get things done. Uh, so I'm going to start in. This is page 19, the middle of page 19. So here now is another concept that could be considered on this scale of rose and sword. These two things are communion and communication. And so it's one of those small things. On communion, on the communion side of things, which is on the life side, communion is when you really hear each other. Okay, communion requires truth, reaches to the heart, often requires being face to face, whereas communication does not require truth, may only reach the mind, often requires using wires, magnetic tapes, or paper, etc. Tangible things. Communion. That term can mean other things, of course, but I'll use it here to describe two people talking, in person, face to face, and heart to heart. Now there's a concept that has a lot to do with life, and what an amazing phenomenon it is. So what makes me think of this? Well, it strikes me that the subject fits in here. And you see, I've had loved ones in the hospital recently, and at that time, I had the obvious choices to make of 1, going to visit them, 2, calling them, or 3, sending them a card or a letter. Well, since I get all tangled up in trying to write letters and such, I only called and visited. But I discovered something. Calling and visiting are not the same. They don't feel the same. They don't work the same. And they don't accomplish the same things. To call does help, and it can be a great blessing, and sometimes it gets a lot accomplished. But believe it or not, it's not like visiting. Okay, there's something about being face to face. For being face to face opens up more than just your mind to people. It also makes both of you vulnerable. But that's all the more opportunity to show grace and love to one another, as you come to trust one another to be kind, and to try not to notice or criticize the little faults and flaws we all have, which deepens the bond you have between you. And then also, when face to face, you have the opportunity of helping each other physically. For example, I got to help my friend eat there at the hospital when she was too weak and unable to move well on her own. She was 89 years old at that time. She's had 2 birthdays since, when I write this. And so her falling and her hospital stay, what with 20 stitches in her forehead and a broken vertebrae in her neck and a brace around her neck, was quite traumatic for her delicate condition. She's just a frail little thing. And while I was there, I also saw how they had not noticed that she needed mashed or pureed food, as she could hardly chew with that brace on her neck holding up her chin. I couldn't have seen that over the telephone. It was a little thing, and yet it helped. She also reached out to me on another day, when I got there, overloaded with cares and responsibilities. I could have left her off my list of things to do and lightened my load. But of all the things I had to do, she was the one that needed me most urgently. So I went to see her. That hadn't made my rough day disappear, though, and I was emotionally exhausted when I sat down by her side. Then, after the greetings, when she asked again the second time, "How are you doing?" which means, "Now, how are you really doing?" I told her the truth. Let's see. Does this, excuse me, reality. And there's traffic. I didn't know there was this much traffic on this quiet road, but there is. That's neat. And they get to see all this stuff too. So, I told her the truth because she said, "Now, how are you really doing?" I told her the truth. Actually, not so good. There are just so many things to do. I didn't finish, but inside I felt a kind of melting sadness under the great weight I still felt. And of all things, she saw it, or felt it. She can't see well. And she recognized what was going on inside me, though I'd said so little. And she didn't just pass it by, or try to cheer me up either. She just said, "Oh, honey." And she reached out and held me and let me cry. So I cry again, just remembering. Talk about deepening a relationship and healing wounds and strengthening each other. And there's a little asterisk I wrote after I typed this up. I wrote it with a pen, and at the bottom I put, "She's my first treasure," because I wrote a poem called Treasure, and I put it at the back of Rose and Sword. Now I'm wondering, should I go find it? Now that I've told you about it, I suppose I should. I'm gonna. But should I? I don't know. Then again, try to find it. There it is. See? I wrote it out, and then I tried to center it, but I thought I was just going to center the column, but instead it centered all of the lines. And when I did it, it looked a little like a lady. So I added some details to it. And so, well, there it is. Let's see. Should I turn it? I think I'm gonna. And I'm gonna hold it up. I think. Treasure by Terry Bale. That's me. Salt and pepper hair, and 90 years old. Her face was in my hands. Her eyes smiled back at mine. What treasure I hold. Now, should I tell you? Oh, and there's people on bicycles behind me. Well, you see, I had taken her to a doctor's appointment, and we're sitting there for about 20 minutes, or 10 at least. And at one point, I got up and to move something, and I came over, and I just, oh, she's just sitting there. So I held her face. I just love you. And so, and yet she's 90 years old at this point. That's what? Because she was 80, it says so, 89. I'm looking all over for it. She's 89 years old. But it was 2 years later that I wrote this poem. So I'd already written this thing about her. I never told you who she was. But at this point, being 90 years old and still salt and pepper hair, kind of like mine, where it's dark and light. Lots of people go all white by the time they're 70, and she still had dark hair. Salt and pepper hair, as they say. And 90 years old. Her face was in my hands. Her eyes smiled back at mine. What treasure I hold. Later that day, I was mindful again of the wonders of life. So after I'd taken her back to her home that day, I was mindful again of the wonders of life, the joy, the splendor, fresh and beautiful, cool and clean. I looked up to God to give him thanks again and to tell him, I love you. And without thinking, I reached up my hands to hold his face. Just reach up, you know. Then suddenly I wondered, could such a thing be proper? Or even possible? But then, as I looked, in my mind's eye, I beheld in my hands her face, the face of my friend, my treasure. And the Lord said unto me, Inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, you have done it unto me. Stop and think about that. what treasures we can hold without knowing it. So when you love someone, especially when they need it, God takes it as love for him, which is really neat because we're supposed to love him with all we got. And he does, that's it. And I never wrote it. He doesn't get jealous. I think actually maybe I did write that in this eventually. God wants us to love one another. He wants us to love one another. And he takes it as love for him when we love one another. Okay, at the bottom of that, you see there's a verse. Actually, Matthew 25, verses 37 through 40. Lord, people ask, in this parable Jesus taught, people ask the master, the important guy. It's the Lord. Lord, when saw we thee an hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? See, they're sick or in prison and came unto thee. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch to the same amount, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Precious. So that is at the end of this book I wrote, Rose and Sword, which has a couple other, what do you call them, essays, but I just put it at the end because it was written some 2-3 years later and put in there later yet. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, then I'm just gonna just another few paragraphs, and then I think we'll call it done. That's just one of a ton of real life transactions. One of the most precious, to be sure. But I tell you, there's something special about being face to face. Call it communion. Call it connecting on more than one level. Or maybe it's more like sharing the fullness of who we are with each other. But whatever it is, I've come to see that it's like water. Plain old water. It's only water, nothing fancy. It's not even pre-sweetened, nor brightly colored, nor tantalizingly flavored. It's just water. But wherever it goes, it brings life. Even the desert blooms when the water comes through. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can replace it. Unless you count something else that contains it. And everything else that contains it is largely beneficial because of the water's life-giving qualities. And the additives, especially if they are highly processed and concentrated, more often detract from its goodness than add anything to it. So it is with communion and its additives. I am glad I got to learn this stuff from my friend being in the hospital. I'd noticed the specialness of visiting people before, but somehow the difference between being face to face and talking over the telephone was even clearer to me this time. And I'm going to leave it at this. But guys, I must say that there are times when you won't be able to see the other person unless you talk on the telephone. And then that is better than not talking at all if you've got love to share, if you've got truth, things from your life to share back and forth. Love one another. Jesus said it time and again. So now I'm watching right up there on the phone is numbers ticking by, and there's 14 minutes 30 seconds. I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna leave it at 15 minutes. Is there anything else to show you? Not really. Excepting the blue sky again. And there's little clouds. I bet you they weren't there before. I don't remember them. But I haven't been concentrating on them. I've been concentrating on other things. Oh boy, it's almost time to go. So, okay, thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.